Y'all, one of the questions I hear almost every single ding dang week is, Kelly, is the North Carolina real estate exam really that hard? Honest answer? Yeah, it absolutely is. And if you think about it, it makes sense. We are, as real estate brokers, going to help buyers and sellers with one of the absolute biggest investments of their entire lives. The good news is that you can pass it. I've been helping thousands of real estate agents over the last decades pass their end of course exam and their state board's exams. And today I'm going to walk you through a few tips and tricks that will help you do the very same thing. Let's dive in. Tip number 1 is about vocabulary. The course is full of vocabulary words. Letting the vocabulary be the basis or the foundation of your understanding is crucially important. There's no way around a flashcard. I would go ahead and grab a bunch of packets of flashcards from any retail store and start working on your vocabulary flashcards. Once you've established that baseline of understanding, your basic vocabulary, then you work toward the next building block, which is applying what you know. So once you've got your vocabulary down, next you're going to work toward understanding, not just recall. To help move from basic vocabulary, move from that into greater understanding, when I'm teaching a course and when our instructors teach a course, we often try to link those concepts to real life scenarios. And those real life scenarios are intended to help you connect the dots and understand the why behind the rule. I did mention flashcards, and flashcards certainly are one way to help build that foundational understanding when it comes to vocabulary. But there are many other techniques as well. I actually go over some of these strategies in a blog that I wrote recently. You can find that at our website, cumbieandtrull.com, under the tab Director's Desk blog. It's the latest one up there, so that might be helpful as well. But we incorporate many different facets when it comes to helping you learn these concepts besides flashcards via games, via graphic organizers, via practice quizzes, practice tests, group activities, to also help you solidify some of these challenging concepts. Tip number 2 for preparing to pass your end of class exam and your state board licensing exam is to be an active reader. What? What's it mean to be an active reader? Well, typically when we read, if we grew up reading, we've read for pleasure. Of course, we grew up reading in elementary school and so on. That tends to be maybe a passive type of activity. You sit, you scan the words on the page, you keep going, you turn, you do the same thing. Well, when it comes to learning challenging information, like in a pre-licensing course, a better way to think of it is active reading. So yes, you are reading and you are doing things while you are engaged in that reading. For example, when you're going through, and by the way, the book that Matt Davies and Kim Stotesbury wrote, the one that we use in class, is barely even reading, y'all. It's a series of bullet points. It's a bullet point list. You could just skim it. It's pretty straightforward. Now, what's lovely about that is while you're reading, you want to be thinking to yourself, does that make sense? Do I really get that? What you want to avoid is just highlighting the whole page. You think you're doing something, but you're really not. In fact, I don't know if y'all have ever done this. Is it just me? But I could read. I think I'm reading. My eyes are moving. I'm looking at words on the page. And you know what? I'm thinking about something completely different. You can do that. Isn't that incredible? So to keep ourselves from doing that, from zoning out while we think we're reading, we want to be active during the reading process. So again, you're skimming the page, you're asking, does this make sense? Or, I need Kelly to explain that to me. You're going to write that down. Questions for Kelly. Look at that alliteration. Do we not love that? Okay, I love it. So jot down questions for Kelly and make sure when you come to class that I answer those questions for you. Really what we're kind of getting at here is what I call sandwich studying. Would you like to know how to build your study sandwich? Say yes, because I'm going to tell you. Here we go. Your first piece of bread is preparation. We've been talking about that. So you want to come to class having looked at the material I'm going to go over in class. So you're preparing ahead of time. You're pre-reading. You're actively reading. You're taking notes while you're reading. You're making vocabulary cards, flashcards while you're reading. Perhaps you are watching one of my YouTube reviews in advance of class, just kind of hear the language. Maybe you're in your ebook materials through Learn, Test, Pass, and you're playing some of the games that are there. Maybe you're listening to one of the podcasts that's part of your ebook materials as well. All of that you're doing in preparation. You're writing things down, questions for Kelly that you want to make sure I address when we come together in class. That's the first piece of bread. The next section is the filling. Whether you're vegetarian or carnivore, whatever your filling is for your sandwich, it's the filling. The filling is coming to class. The filling is coming to class hungry. Yes, like you're going to eat that sandwich. You're coming to class hungry. You want some of your questions answered. You're coming to class ready. Like, I hope she answers this question. If she doesn't, I'm staying after class. All right, so you are ready. You're fired up. You come to class, you're fully engaged. You're with me or you're with your instructor. You're in it to win it. You're asking questions. You're asking questions in the chat. You're participating in the group activities. You are highly engaged. You're playing the games at a high level. All of that. You're making sure you're looking at your questions for Kelly list and you're saying, okay, tick, she did that. Tick, she did that. Tick, she answered that. Ooh, here's one that Kelly didn't answer. I'm going to stay after and make sure she answers my question in the nicest way, of course, y'all. Okay, in the nicest way. That's the filling of your sandwich. The next piece of bread, the final piece of bread, is your review. The key to understanding and the key to conquering this material, y'all, is review, review, review. Repetition, repetition, repetition. Repetition is the key to learning. Ask any educator out there. You all know that I have my bachelor's of science in education from the University of Georgia. Go Dogs. So you know, you ask any of them, it's repetition, repetition. Why? Believe it or not, we only retain 15% of what we hear the first time. And sometimes it's impossible to be 1,000% locked in for an all-day class. You are going to lose focus at some point. Something is going to go past you. And that's why that review, that repetition is so critical. That's your last piece of bread. And then you can go enjoy that sandwich. Now, part of review I also have to emphasize is joining or starting a study group. Study groups are phenomenal. I can't say enough about study groups. That should be a tip on its own. Start or join a study group. It might only be you and one other person. It might be you and 3 or 4 people. That's all you need. As long as you get together regularly, 2 times a week, 3 times a week, 1 time at a minimum, get together and do quiz questions together. Quizzing yourself is one of the best ways to conquer this material. So we're laying the foundation together, and then you apply what you've learned to actual quiz questions. Now, the beautiful thing about your ebook materials, when you take a class with me, or with us anyway, is that the quizzes are of the highest level and the highest degree of difficulty. In my opinion, they are the best questions to help you prepare for the state board exam. Additionally, when you complete these quizzes, you have excellent explanations. Many of my students will study the explanations of quiz questions and make flashcards out of the explanations. An really, really terrific strategy. Talking things out with one another, debating your answer choices, all of that is so incredible in terms of helping you conquer the material and really truly understand the material and get ready for your exam. Tip number 3 is a good one, and it's one that I didn't really consider until I started teaching here at Cumbie and Trull School of Real Estate over a decade ago. And I actually got this tip from Deborah Carpenter, who is one of the head honchos up there at the Real Estate Commission. She writes the course syllabi, and she used to write the end of course exams and these sorts of things. And I remember her saying, if you really want to get the most out of a quiz, try to describe or try to figure out why the other answer options of the multiple choice options, why those options are not the correct answer. So that's a way to squeeze every bit out of quiz questions that you have access to. A favorite strategy or a favorite technique that Learn, Test, Pass tends to use, so be careful of this, is while you are reading the item, so the quiz question itself, this is technically called an item. So when you're reading that quiz question, and then you're going down to your answer options, A, B, C, or D, you want to read every single one of them thoroughly, all the way to the end. You might want to read them twice. I do. Why? Because Learn, Test, Pass is known for writing an answer option that looks correct. You're going along, you're turning and burning, you're like, oh yeah, I got this. This is the right answer. And then the very end of the sentence, the last couple of words, render that answer option incorrect. So don't let them get you like that. Read every answer option thoroughly and remember, or work to remember, what the question's actually asking you. Here's another thing that you may encounter. Beware this one when you're taking quizzes, especially with the Learn, Test, Pass materials. You'll get an answer option, A, B, C, or D. Let's say it's B as in baby, and you're reading it along and you're like, oh yeah, that's totally true. And you pick it. And you're like, uh-oh, how'd I get that wrong? Well, the answer option you chose is a totally true statement. However, it's regarding a completely different rule or a different concept. So they are notorious for that as well. So you've got to be on the ball the whole time that you're taking these quizzes and you're practicing what you know. You're applying what you know to these quizzes, because that's really where the rubber hits the road. The next tip, stay ahead of the material. Stay on top of the material. This is not a course for which you could cram and think you're going to pass. It does not work. That is why I offer this extra credit and why it's a carrot. It serves as a carrot to encourage you, incentivize you to stay on top of your unit quizzes. You want to retake your unit quizzes 1,000,000 times until you're scoring in the 90s. But don't stop there. At some point, you want to simulate the testing environment. So even though the larger quizzes that are 70 questions long in your Learn, Test, Pass materials, even though those quizzes don't count for your extra credit, they are excellent for simulating the testing environment. Why? Because you want to get in there, you want to lock in. We call it building a bunker. This goes for studying as well. You want to build a bunker. That means you get everything you need. You get it in your study area. You get all the markers, flashcards, water, snacks, all of it. You build yourself a bunker and you stay there the whole time. It takes a lot of effort to focus for an extended period of time on exam questions. Your end of class exam questions has 80 national and 60 state questions. To stay focused for that long, that many hours, it's 2.5 hours for your national if you need it, and 2 hours for the state if you need it. That's a long time to really stay locked in and to stay focused. So practicing what we call your testing stamina is crucially important. When it comes to your unit quizzes, I think the longest one might be 30 questions at the most. That's not quite enough to simulate your end of course exam and your state board exam. So I encourage you, if you can find the time, take some of those longer quizzes. And when you're close to the end of the course, if you're all caught up on your unit quizzes, Learn Test Pass also has comprehensive end of course exam quizzes as well that mimic the national and mimic the state. So work on your testing stamina during the course and stay on top of your materials. Try really hard not to get behind. Cannot cram for this course. The next tip is to focus on your weakest subjects. Well, how do you know what your weakest subjects are? Well, it could be that it's the feedback from your quizzes. You say, golly, Kelly, every time I take the quiz on finance, I can't get above a 70%. I've taken the quiz 5 times. And by the way, it's normal to take the quizzes multiple times, y'all. Don't worry about your first score. Just let that go. You're going to focus on repetition, repetition, repetition. Your scores will increase. Now, in the case that you plateau, then you may want to circle the wagon and say, what I'm doing now is I need to do something differently. I need to move in a different way to break beyond this plateau, this ceiling for this particular topic. You might want to come and talk to me. You might want to bring that to your study group. You might want to consider hiring a tutor. I hired a tutor when I was preparing to teach this course to y'all. This material is not something necessarily you use each and every single day in your real estate career. So I needed to brush up on things as well. It's complicated. Sometimes hearing the same concepts from a different person help it to click. The next tip involves getting ready to actually take the exam, which we kind of have been discussing this whole time. But let's talk about the night before or a few nights before you're going to take the end of class exam or even your state board exams. You really want to take care of yourself. As my old running coach used to say, if you've been doing all of the work, you've been putting in the time, you've been staying on top of your quizzes, you've been taking practice quizzes, you're ready to go, then he would always say the hay is in the barn. You're ready. So put the books away. Don't cram anymore. Put it down. Eat a good meal. Try to get some good sleep. Keep that positive attitude, that can-do attitude. And know that if you feel anxious, that's totally normal. Every person who's going to take an exam feels anxiety. It's how we process or think about our anxiety that makes all the difference. And there's a saying that goes, change the way you look at things and the things you look at change. I know, how about that? Love it. So if you're feeling some anxiety about the exam, instead of saying, oh, what was me? I'm going to fail. Instead say, bring it. Come on. Let's go. This is my time to shine. I've done the work. I've put the time in. I've studied my flashcards. I've been making 90s on my end of unit quizzes. I've been doing the practice tests and I'm scoring really well. I'm gonna crush it. Bring it to me. Look at it as excitement instead of fear. Last little bit of encouragement. If you have taken the class before and you have not yet made it through, know that you are in good company. Some of the most successful real estate brokers out there are terrible test takers. And that's okay. That's okay. Sometimes there's an underlying learning difference. Sometimes there's ADHD. Sometimes there's some dyslexia. Sometimes not. Sometimes it's the anxiety gets the best of them. That doesn't have anything to do with those soft skills, those intangibles that make real estate brokers successful. This exam, the end of course exam, the state board exam, is not about how smart you are. and it has nothing to do with how successful you can be in real estate. One of my favorite brokers in all of Western North Carolina is like the #1 broker out near Western North Carolina University. And he, she, or they mentioned to me one time they had to take the state board exam multiple times. How many times? 2? No. How about 3? How about 5? Oh no. How about 6 times? How about that? 6 times. This person did not let it get them down. Just was like, matter of fact, yeah, you know, I did 6 times, whatever. A great broker. People love this person. The quality of service from this person is incredible. Not the best test taker. Did not take it personally. Did not let it get the best of them. Just kept it moving and never quit. There really is no way to fail completely unless you give up on yourself. And you are not a quitter. At Cumbie and Trull School of Real Estate, we've been helping students for more than 3 decades accomplish their goal of obtaining their North Carolina real estate license. If you are still looking for the perfect spot to take your North Carolina pre-licensing class, we here at Cumbie and Trull School of Real Estate are ready to leap into action and do the very most possible to help get you there. If you've already completed the course and you're getting ready to take the North Carolina State Board exam, you're looking for a little more prep, we do offer an online North Carolina specific exam prep course. You can find that by visiting our website under the pre-licensing tab. It is designed, yes, specifically for North Carolina because that side of the exam still tends to be a little bit of a sticky wicket. If you have found this video helpful, be sure to give us a little thumbs up. Don't you know, a little thumbs up. Like and subscribe. And hey, leave us whatever big questions you have about the exam, about exam prep, about the course. Leave it in the comments and we'll be sure to circle back and answer those for you. Thanks so much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.